So you think that insurance is there to protect you in the event of a major catastrophe, accident, or crisis, right? Well, sort of. Because in a recent instance in South Florida, a couple experienced possibly one of the worst feelings in the world when they found out their property insurance company canceled their policy the night before Hurricane Ian hit.
The night before Ian hit, like you, Tom Colantuno and his wife were getting ready, buying supplies, prepping the house. When they got the news, nobody wants.
She was white as a ghost, and she said, "We just got canceled by Frontline."
So according to The Hill, a Tampa Bay man and his wife were getting ready for Hurricane Ian. They were buying supplies and preparing their house when they got some very bad news. "We just got canceled by Frontline." The notice of cancellation was effective October 22nd, 2022. So this couple was one of more than 68,000 Floridians canceled by FedNat Insurance Company earlier this year in May. And now this marks the second time this year the couple had a policy canceled on them. Only this time they received a notice that their policy was just canceled the night before a hurricane was going to make landfall. To say the Florida insurance market is out of control would be putting it lightly. There's no way an insurance company can just cancel your homeowner's insurance policy and right before a damaging Category 4 hurricane is expected to hit, right? So Florida Insurance Commissioner David Altmaier issued an order to temporarily protect residents, and it read in part, from September 28th through November 28th, no insurer or other regulated entity may cancel, non-renew, or issue a notice of cancellation or non-renewal of a policy or contract except at the written request of the policyholder. However, they can cancel you after the 2 months are up. So the couple was forced to set up a policy with Citizens, the state's issuer company that many consider a last resort. And like 1 million other Floridians, Florida insurance is panning out to be a pure nightmare in the making, and many are concerned they will eventually be priced out of Florida home ownership altogether. With reports of some policy increases seeing premiums doubled and almost tripled this year alone. So according to The Hill, insurance experts said the cancellation was likely in the works weeks before Hurricane Ian, and the Office of Insurance Regulation says any cancellation issued 10 days before Hurricane Ian must be withdrawn. So residents who experience anything similar are encouraged to call their agents. The agents can call the company and tell them to withdraw the cancellation pursuant to the state's order. However, an agent might just decide it's best to move the policy just to be safe. And it's not just homeowners insurance and flood insurance that is on the rise and costing Americans money on top of rapid inflation amid a looming recession. Nope. Health insurance costs are set to spike for 2023. USA Today reports that officials warn significant price hikes might surface in 2023 as inflation reaches the health sector and hospitals. Doctors and drug companies demand more lucrative payments from health insurers and employers. So Gary Claxton is the senior vice president for Kaiser and the director of the Healthcare Marketplace Project. He said that the healthcare industry is also dealing with the effects of the pandemic, and people who delayed doctor and hospital visits in 2020 allowed insurers to spend less money on routine care and non-emergency operations, which saw a 200% increase in insurance company profits that year alone. So it isn't like the insurers aren't still making money. They aren't struggling and really don't need to raise premiums. But Kaiser is warning that with inflation this year exceeding 8% and employers and consumers expecting to see higher than average health insurance premium hikes next year, the benefits costs will likely jump almost 7.5% in 2023. So employees should be prepared for what they could expect to see happen in just a few short months. Claxton said, going into 2022, the job market was still tight, and recruiting employees is expensive, and upsetting your existing employees is not a good idea. But as employers absorb higher medical costs and the job market softens as a result of the downward pressure by the Fed, companies might be more willing to raise premiums and deductibles. So employees at companies with fewer than 200 workers already must pay a large share of their medical costs, and the typical deductible at a small company is more than $2,500. Now that's $1,000 more than a large company. And USA Today says other polls show Americans are struggling to pay for medical care as daily living expenses continue to increase, with about 46% of people saying that a medical bill has put them in debt, and about 1 in 3 people have trouble paying routine or emergency care and private health insurance coverage, with those between the ages of 25 and 34 having the toughest time paying for medical care, with more than half of young adults struggling to afford private health insurance based on a 5,000 participant poll conducted in August. So a Commonwealth Fund survey revealed that 42% of Americans with health insurance had trouble paying a medical bill or past medical debt, and 46% of working age adults skipped or delayed care in the last year due to costs. And to make matters worse, a Kaiser survey said that nearly half of large employers reported more workers are using mental health care services following the C-19 pandemic, while there is a reported long-standing shortage of mental health providers, which is making it difficult for workers to see a counselor or other specialists. So if you or someone you know is struggling with mental health and needs someone to talk to, a professional, Forbes Health released a list of the top 10 best online therapy services of 2022. Talkspace Online Therapy, BetterHelp, Cerebral, Live Health Online, Armwell. These are just a few, and if anyone would like more information and future videos dedicated to these services, please comment below and let me know. And if you're thinking to yourself, how can I find ways to lower my health insurance premium costs? Well, here's one suggestion. Stay out of Louisiana. Louisiana is ranked second in the nation for the most expensive health insurance premiums, according to a study by Forbes. And according to KSLA.com, Louisiana insurance experts say there are a number of reasons for this, which include the state ranks low in overall health, and higher premiums help pay for the increased medical expenses. And Louisiana businesses pay less towards employee insurance than in other states, ranking 49th on the list in employer contributions to health insurance. So Louisiana has one of the highest rates of diabetes in the nation too, and it has one of the highest rates of obesity in the nation. And so all of those things end up driving up health insurance costs, because at the end of the day, most of that care is going to be paid for by health insurance, more so than out of pocket. So our economy and record high inflation is making it so much harder for people. They have medical bills and they can't pay their car notes, or they can't pay their house note or make rent because they have to try and take care of themselves and their families. But insurance and medical care and prescriptions are so expensive, which is why I continue to share information and opportunities on building better budgets, finding ways to increase your income, and other personal finance solutions that will be of great need to so many as we try and close out this year and begin to prepare for the long, dark road ahead of us next year, beginning in 2023. And to make matters even worse, we are troubled with job loss, layoffs, terminations, and hiring freezes that are growing in numbers by the day. AL.com Business announced that insurance company Kemper lays off 339 workers, including 39 Alabama employees, citing inflation. Now, this is real talk, folks, and it's only going to get worse before it gets better. If you don't have a personal finance and business plan and strategy to keep money coming in, and you're playing a very dangerous game with your safety, your family safety, your savings, and livelihood. So insurance company Kemper Corporation confirmed Thursday it has laid off 339 employees, including 39 in Alabama, citing primarily significant prolonged inflation. The Chicago-based Kemper said in a statement to AL.com, like most insurance carriers, particularly those who write personal lines, the longer-term economic impacts of the pandemic, primarily significant and prolonged inflation, have required us to make changes to our business, which have led to a lower volume of policies in force. And so that reduced volume means we have to respond accordingly, including making some tough but necessary decisions to adjust our employee headcount. So this means job loss and employees being laid off. Kemper said they laid off just over 3% of their staff, and employees who were laid off were able to apply for other roles with the company and were provided with further instructions. Although applying doesn't produce a weekly or bi-weekly paycheck or direct deposit or put food on the table, applying doesn't guarantee you a position, the same, equal, or better rate of pay, or keep you and your family covered with health and medical and dental insurance coverage. I mentioned in a previous video recently that I expect to see downward pressure on employees and a reduction in wages. And if you want to know how these big businesses and corporations will make that happen, well, It'll be done through layoffs and reapplication at lower base pays and starting salaries with decreased benefits. These big companies are going to regain control over the employee and the workforce markets while stuffing more profits in their pockets. Perhaps the only other winners out of these likely scenarios will be shareholders. Oh, and as I mentioned before, the other businesses, which is why I am continuing to align myself and my businesses to service the needs of just that. Other businesses. And I'll be sharing what the journey looks like exclusively with the members in the group. So if you want to know more about this and how you too can do the same and get your business set up and ready now before it's too late, then come on over, join us.